It's something we use every single day, most of the time without even thinking about it. But language, the very fabric of our cultures, is a world that's so much bigger, so much more complex, and frankly, way stranger than you might think. So today we're going to dive into that wonderful world of words. All right, so let's kick things off with a big question. Just take a guess. How many different languages do you think are spoken on our planet right at this moment? A few hundred? Maybe 1,000?
Ready for this? The answer is somewhere around 7,000. That is just an absolutely incredible number, and it speaks to the amazing diversity of human expression all across the globe.
So that massive number, 7,000, that's our starting point. In this huge linguistic world, who's speaking what? Let's take a closer look.
Okay, quick pop quiz. If you had to name the most widely spoken language on Earth, what would you say? A lot of people's first guess is English, right? Well, nope. The top spot actually goes to Mandarin, with a whopping 885 million speakers in China alone, putting English in second place. And this chart really drives that point home. I mean, just look at the size of that bar for Mandarin speakers. It's absolutely immense. It really gives you a feel for the sheer scale we're talking about and helps put the whole global language map into perspective.
And it's not just about the top two either. There's this whole 100 million speaker club. What this list shows us is that while a couple of languages might get all the headlines, we live in a world with a whole bunch of linguistic giants, and every single one has a massive global footprint.
Speaking of giants, let's zoom in on one that many of us are using right now, English. And trust me, its story is packed with some wild contradictions and surprises you probably didn't see coming. Okay, get ready for this, because it's a real mind-bender. There are more people in China who speak English than there are in the entire United States. Yeah, let that sink in for a second. It really makes you wonder, who does this language even belong to anymore? And the surprises just keep coming. Here's a number for you, 800,000. What is that? Well, that's the estimated number of words in the English language. That gives it the biggest vocabulary of any language on the entire planet.
But here's that contradiction I was talking about. We have this enormous arsenal of 800,000 words to pull from, and yet, most of us in our everyday lives only use about 1% of them. It's kind of like having a giant library, but only ever checking out the same handful of books over and over.
So you might be wondering, where did all those words even come from? Well, English has always been let's call it a professional borrower. For example, a ton of our common words came to us from Arabic. Think about things you use or see all the time, like coffee, cotton, a mattress, or a sofa. Yep, all of them have roots in Arabic.
And you know what else we totally take for granted today? Punctuation. All those little dots and squiggles, commas, periods, question marks that help us make sense of everything. They weren't even a thing in Old or Middle English. Can you imagine trying to read a book back then? It must have been a total mess.
All right, so we've done a deep dive on English. Now let's pull the camera back out and look at the bigger picture again, because this is where things get really weird and wonderful.
The way different languages are even built is just incredible. Check this out. On one side of the spectrum, you've got Cambodian, with a massive alphabet of 74 letters. Then, on the complete opposite end, you have a language called Rhoticos, and they managed to say everything they need to with just 11.
11 letters.
And it isn't just about the letters, it's the sounds themselves. There are some languages, particularly in Africa, that use clicking sounds as consonants. These sounds are so unique and so complex that it's believed you can only really master them if you learn them when you're a child. Okay, so we've had a lot of fun exploring all this amazing diversity. But for this last part, we need to shift our tone a bit and get more serious. We have to talk about the very fragile future that a lot of these languages are now facing.
So, remember that big number we started with, 7,000? Well, here's the tough part. A huge chunk of those languages are incredibly vulnerable. In fact, more than 2,000 of them are spoken by fewer than 1,000 people each. They are, quite literally, standing on the edge of a cliff.
And that leads us to a prediction it's really sobering. Experts now believe that by the year 2050, nearly half of all the world's languages will be extinct, gone forever. It's a kind of silent extinction event, and it's happening right now in our lifetime. Which leaves all of us with one final and really vital question to think about. A language isn't just a collection of words. It's a unique way of seeing the world. It's a culture's entire library of stories, of knowledge, of history. So as these languages vanish, what worlds, what entire ways of being human are vanishing right along with them?